From the fantasy armchair, it is the Fantasy Tyrant. Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Welcome back to the Traveling Fantasy Armchair. That's right, back on the road once again. This time, I'm at the Nemers Estate in Wilmington, Delaware. And this place is home of the largest formal French-style garden in North America. Yeah, this is honestly the best I could do. There ain't shit to do in Delaware. So let's hurry up and get through this show so I can get the fuck out of here and on to someplace a lot more interesting. Real quick though, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. So last week, there were a lot of people shocked that I didn't have Jamal Williams on my list. The reason is simple. He's 64% owned. But people were still my jock like, hey, why wasn't he on the list? The fuck? What's wrong with you? So yeah, I guess I gotta mention everyone. Like, hey, if Saquon Barkley is out there on your waivers, go pick him up. What the hell? We'll be here for hours if I have to do something like that. However, I'll tell you what I will do. If there are players that are like close to their 60% or something like that, I'll let you know just in case where I think that they would belong on the list if they were included on the list. And I'm gonna start doing that right here in this spot before the top 10 even starts. So if guys like Nyheim Hines, who's 63% owned, or Brian Robinson, who's 54% owned, are still out there for some reason, yeah, those are gonna be your top 2 picks right there. Now if Devin Duvernay's out there, he's 63% owned, go get him. He'll be number 5 or 6 on the list thereabouts. Otherwise, if I don't mention the guy you're thinking about, hit me up in the comments and I'll let you know what I think of him. But anyway, yeah, you know what that song means. It's time for my top 10 waiver wire pickups for week 5. Number 10, Josh Palmer. Okay, I know he underperformed last week, looking downright flaccid.
That's what she said!
But he's also shown that he can be a viable flex option. I think that Herbert's rib injury has contributed to lower numbers for all Chargers pass catchers. With no end in sight for Keenan Allen's hiatus though, Palmer still has some value as a wide receiver too for LA. We've seen this kid light it up and we can see him do it again any given Sunday. He was only targeted once this past week, but combined for 17 targets in the previous 2 weeks. Not sure what happened this past game. Did he bang the coach's wife or something? Anyway, I think his target share regresses to the mean this week against Cleveland, who ranks bottom 10 in fantasy points, giving it up to wide receivers. Palmer is quick, his hands are great, and he's a heck of a route runner. The former 3rd-round pick is set to break out any game now, so don't sleep on him just because he had one off week with his injured QB. Even when Keenan Allen returns, Palmer has value in this offense, and I think it gets unlocked this week against the Browns. Then he'll be back on everyone else's waiver wire target list next week. We'll get ahead of the rest and pick up Palmer this week instead. Probably wait until waivers clear, so don't even waste your fab or priority. Either way, if you have room, get him on your squad. Number 9, Mike Boone. Yeah, a lot of other analysts have Boone up higher on the list because with Java Williams out for the season, they expect a Boone from Mike as a fantasy running back. Bad puns aside, I do think Mike has some fantasy value, but as long as Melvin Gordon's still healthy, his full potential will be difficult to realize. He's still on the list as a warm body at running back who will share a starting role, but don't expect a moon from Boone. I have no doubts about his talent as a rusher, but his usage is yet to be determined. He ran well, getting 20 yards on 3 carries, but had a bad drop on a crucial 4th down play in the Broncos' last drive of the game on Sunday. Russ Wilson finally has the Broncos' offense cooking, so Boone could find himself in a favorable spot soon enough, but the threat of Gordon taking the lion's share of the touches and the recent signing of Latavius Murray from the Saints practice squad doesn't help boost Mike Boone far up on the list. He was much heralded as a preseason darling in his Minnesota Vikings days, but we haven't really seen much out of this kid. He may finally get a chance to shine in Denver, but you gotta be Rocky Mountain high if you think that he's gonna be more than a good stash, wait and see candidate, this week anyway. He could end up being dropped a lot by next week, but he could also be the steal of the year, depending on how his usage shapes out. A lot of unknown here, so I'm not bumping him far up the list yet. Worth a stash if you got the room though. Number 8, Isaiah McKenzie. I had him as a sleeper in the draft, and I've been telling you to pick him up basically every week. And now, his main competition, Jamison Crowder, went down with a broken ankle. Isaiah McKenzie is now the definitive slot receiver and number 3 option in Buffalo, and while that distinction may not have much clout in most offenses, it carries a ton when catching passes from Josh Allen. And while he's dealing with a head injury in his own right, it doesn't appear to be all too serious, and he could suit up this Sunday at home against the Steelers, who've been giving up a lot of points to fantasy wide receivers. Gabe Davis has been banged up, and while Stephon Diggs dominates the downfield targets out on the edges, it's been McKenzie getting screen passes and middle of the field targets. With 15 targets over the past 2 weeks and 2 touchdowns to show for him, so long as he's healthy, McKenzie is an every week flex starter in most leagues, or at least worth consideration depending on the matchup. Khalil Shakir is the next man up in the slot, but I just don't think McKenzie misses much time, if any. So I'm confused why my colleagues are all over Shakir like a masseuse's hands on Deshaun Watson. He may have some potential to do great things down the road, but for now, McKenzie's the slot guy for the Bills, and he needs to be owned in all formats, so go get him. Number 7, Rachaad White. This is much more of a speculative ad, but would be a potential league winner if it pays off. The Bucs let the rookie running back loose in the passing game this past week, and he really took his passing down role and ran with it, literally, to the tune of 5 receptions for 50 yards, adding in 3 carries for 6 yards and a touchdown. The third-round rookie really cut into Leonard Fournette's production this past week, actually splitting carries 50-50 with Uncle Lenny. Bucs offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich stated that he wanted to get White more involved with the offense and delivered on that statement this past Sunday. And since it seems to have paid off, I could see Lefty continuing to create opportunities for White in the Bucs offense. And if Fournette were to get hurt, as he often does, this dude could go off. I mean nuclear. Lottery ticket right here. So especially in PPR, White is worth your consideration. Number 6, Josh Reynolds. The wide receiver hierarchy in Detroit is a lot more clear this season than it was last season. With everyone healthy, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown on top, then TJ Hawkinson, then Josh Reynolds. With St. Brown out, Reynolds filled in nicely this past week, catching 7 of 8 passes for 81 yards and a touchdown, scoring 21.1 fantasy points in the process. That's 18 targets over the past 2 weeks and 3 straight games of 12-plus fantasy points in PPR. And since the purring kitties of the Motor City are about as effective on defense as Donald Trump's lawyers, we'll likely see a lot from the passing game this season, and Josh Reynolds will be the beneficiary of that. The only thing keeping me from bumping him up higher on this list is the impending debut of first-round rookie wide receiver Jameson Williams. That's coming. But with St. Brown still hurt and an obvious rapport with Jared Goff, I think Reynolds is still worth an ad and can fit in as a weekly flex option, especially in deeper leagues. Pick him up. Number 5, Corey Davis. So apparently Corey Davis sucks great cock or something. With 2 young stud receivers and a top 5 fantasy tight end to throw to, Zach Wilson still continues his love affair with Davis. Wait, I thought Wilson was only into Cougars. Maybe Davis's mom is involved or something, I don't know. I've tried to figure it out. I can't. The off-injured Davis doesn't scream stud wide receiver to me. Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson do. I mean, come on. Wilson to Wilson? It's perfect. Why are you ruining such a good thing, Zach? I guess the heart wants what it wants, and Zach Wilson's heart wants Corey Davis. Dude was a borderline wide receiver too last season when both he and Wilson were healthy, with some monster games here and there. And this season, he's got 17 targets in the 2 games Wilson started, compared to 9 in the 2 games without. That's almost twice as many. We can't deny that Zach Wilson's got a boner for this dude, so Corey Davis is worth rostering and starting as long as Wilson is healthy. He's available in 75% of leagues, so go pick his ass up now. Number 4, Raheem Mostert. For the 3rd straight week, Mostert was the 1A of the Dolphins running back committee, out-touching Chase Edmonds 17-7. He was the feature back in early downs, at the goal line, on 3rd downs. Hey, he was the clear number 1 back for the Finns, and it wasn't particularly close. We've seen what he can do as a feature back, when healthy, when he was with the Niners. If given the opportunity, we could see damn near RB2 numbers for Mostert, and I have a feeling they're going to utilize the run game more often for as long as Tua is out, so he might just get that boost he needs to be a weekly fantasy starter. He's only rostered in half of leagues, but should now be a flex starter at least going forward. Don't believe me? Yeah, go ahead and fuck around and let your league mates get him and dominate your ass like a bear dominates a twig.
I like black bears. Really? Yes. I like honey.
So cover your ass and get Mostert before he breaks out this season, or you'll be sleeping with one eye open the rest of the year.
Night-night. Keep your butthole tight.
Number 3, Tyler Algier, what is it? Al Jazeera? I don't know, whatever. The time is finally here. I've been talking this dude up since before he was drafted, and even with Patterson in his way, many of us knew this day was coming. When hook or by crook, or in this case, an injury and subsequent IR designation, Algier would take over the rushing duties on this offense. Well, here we are, so he's on the list. I'd have him out on top, but the Falcons' offense isn't exactly clicking on all cylinders. He's got plenty of value as the lead back of an NFL team, but I don't expect him to light up the league, at least not right away. But with Cordero Patterson on IR due to a knee injury, Algier will get a chance to show everyone what all the buzz has been about. Yeah, there's a chance Caleb Huntley carries some of the load as well, but Algier will be the clear-cut RB1 in this offense and a potential RB2 on your fantasy squad, at least until Patterson returns. Now, you might want to sit him this week as he faces the Bucs, but it's well worth picking up, sitting him this week, and then starting him for the foreseeable future. There was a lot of hype about this kid coming in at training camp and in the offseason, and I've got a feeling we're about to find out why. Get him if you possibly can. Number 2, George Pickens. Well, if Zach Wilson refuses to give us Wilson to Wilson, I'll settle for Pickett to Pickens. This pair of potential prospects has been on any good fantasy manager's radar since day one, and not just in Dynasty. This is more than just a name gimmick. Playing on the same squad in training camp and preseason, these two have had every opportunity to mesh, and we're about to see how this plays out on the field. He was already starting to pick up steam with Bitch Trubisky at the helm, but with the changing of the guard to this aggressive, balls-to-the-wall rookie QB in Kenny Pickett, it looks like the beginning of a dynamic duo right here. And you can get in on the action year one by getting Pickens this week. No touchdown, but 6 catches for 102 yards this past week. His best outing yet. And trust me, the touchdowns are coming. Don't you fret your pretty little head, Missy. These two are gonna be pals like Milo and Otis, or Frodo and Sam. Just watch. We get to see a QB wide receiver bromance bloom right before our eyes. Don't miss your opportunity to get in on the love. We've seen Pickett's toe-tapping, one-arm catching talents. Imagine what he can do with a QB who actually knows how to throw the ball and can get him quality and quantity in the passing game. Or better yet, pick up Pickens and find out for yourself. And my number 1 waiver wire pickup for Week 5 is Michael Gallup. I've told you for weeks, get ahead of the game and get Gallup before he comes back and shows why anyone gave a damn in the first place. If being the number 2 target in a high-powered offense isn't enough reason, just look what he did on his first week back. Okay, yes, a touchdown made his day worth mentioning, but that's with him being eased back in the offense. This week, CeeDee Lamb could be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey as the Cowboys take on the Rams, and that could leave a lot of opportunity open for Gallup. And with Dak coming back soon, the sky's the limit here. This is a sure thing for a wide receiver 2 with upside off the waiver wire. It's not a banner week for the waiver wire, and there's really no one worth blowing all your fab for. And you may want to save your top priority if you have it, and you're stacked a wide receiver. For the rest of you, Gallup needs to be at the top of your list if you want a wide receiver especially. As the number 3 or 4 option, he was still averaging double-digit fantasy points every week the past few years. And now that he's healthy and the number 2 guy on the offense, picking up a lot of the targets that Amari Cooper left behind, he needs to be owned in every league, every format. This offense is going to score a lot, regardless of the QB, and Gallup will be the clear number 2 option going forward, especially since Noah Brown's dealing with a neck issue. Gallup needs to be the most picked-up player on the waivers this week, as he's a sure thing in terms of depth at the wide receiver position. Don't walk, don't run, but damn it, Gallup to get Michael on your team. Pun intended, I won't lie. So that's it for my top 10, but here's some honorable mentions for you. First off, quarterbacks. Not buying it yet from Geno Smith. Don't be fooled by Zach Wilson. 20 points is his ceiling, not his floor. There, I said it. Goff is maybe worth picking up if you need to stop the bleeding from an injured quarterback on your squad. But I'm not anointing him to an every week starter. It's way too volatile for that shit. His flaming garbage weeks are coming. Be warned. Kenneth Gainwell and Isaiah Pacheco are some of the top handcuffs you should pick up if you have Miles Sanders or CEH. Other than that, I'm not worried about him. Mac Hollins may have just been fool's gold. Plus, Hunter Renfro's coming back, so he's probably disposable at this point. Mo Alley Cox had a great game, but it looks like the Colts are doing this 3-headed, tight end by committee thing they used to do, because they've also got Kyle Granson and Jelani Woods in the mix. Don't expect this shit to make any sense anytime soon. If I'm picking up one of these guys, it's gonna be Woods, and that's simply a speculative ad, because he's a damn talented rookie tight end. Alec Pierce is also mixing it up with the Colts offense. The problem is, Matt Ryan holds everyone's value back. Because old man Matty has been ice cold this season. I mean, with him at the helm, this offense has been about as exciting as a Sunday sermon from Ben Stein.
Bueller.
Plus, he's Jewish, so that'd be just weird. Anyway, stay away from the Colts pass catchers who aren't named Michael Pittman, or you'll be sorry. Now, before you all go poop in your Pampers to go scramble and pick up Jamal Agnew, just remember, they have Zay Jones and Christian Kirk healthy this year. Unless they get hurt, Agnew's just going to be the guy who comes in every once in a while just to fuck up the fantasy day for the owners of those two other guys. Other than helping the fantasy gods piss in our cereal, there ain't much use for this guy. Neither predictable or reliable, I'm staying away unless injury compels me otherwise. You can't just keep ignoring Will Dissly. Dude's a top 10 tight end through 4 weeks. Now, I don't think this lasts, but if you're desperate and in a deep league, he's worth checking out, and a great DFS bump for as long as he's dirt cheap too. Conklin ain't quite as elite right now as he was in the first 3 games, and Zach Wilson's back at QB for the Jets. Yeah, that was fun while it lasted, right? And don't drop him yet, but I ain't clamoring to pick him up either. Robert Tonyan, just meh. Devontae Parker may have been number 11 on this list. Another guy whose surprise production we can't ignore. The Pats seem pretty serious about using this guy. They paid him to come in, and they're using him. Go figure. In deep leagues, if he's available, pick him up, see if the heavy usage continues, and if it does, start him. Finally, Nico Collins. We're all chomping at the bit for this kid to break out. Well, this past week was encouraging, but still a little bit off from a breakout, like a whole new starting quarterback away. Davis Mills is fucking trash. Now, if the Texans hit it big in the QB lottery next season, Nico Collins could be a thing eventually. This season, though, I'm betting on him not. And this is coming from a poker player who knows a thing or two about betting. So there you go, ladies and jerks. Good luck with your pickups this week. And I'll try to be back this Thursday for the Thursday Quickie. But I can't promise anything. I do know I will be back 100% come hell or high water this Sunday morning for a 2-hour special back-to-back benches and bumps and the Tinker Stinker Power Hour. I'll go over all my rankings at all positions, tell you who to bump and who to bench. And that's all in the first hour. In the second hour, I'll answer all your sit and start questions, go over injury reports, weather reports, kickers, defenses to stream, plus my deep sleepers and my double deep danger dive of the week. So one way or another, I'll see you later on in the week. And if you want one-on-one advice anytime, go ahead and hit me up at the Patreon link down below. Click that, sign up, and I'll hook you up fat. I'll help you win all your leagues, including that big money one. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Want to make the mad money? Then stick with me. Sign up on Patreon, hit like, subscribe, ring that notifications bell, and share this with everyone you know, even your proctologist. Just do it after they take their hand out of your ass. Love you all. I'll be back on Thursday or Sunday. Until then, I'm out. Peace.